Device we're going to be using is a thermal imaging camera. So you should see me in there, orange, red, and yellow guy. So that means I'm the warmest thing inside the frame. So this is a FLIR thermal imaging camera. So with this camera, what do you think we're looking for?
Ghosts.
Heat signatures.
You're on a ghost hunt. What was that again?
Changes in temperature.
Not heat.
Cold.
Cold. We're looking for cold spots. So this is a FLIR, so this is literal. This is not a phone app you guys can go home and download. Again, this is what firemen would use to help save people, but the software sucks. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. So we're looking for blue and black. So I want it either to take shape or to start moving on its own. When I say take shape, I want a head, shoulder, moving arms and legs, if you guys are getting my point. Like, that's what we've caught with this guy in the past, and that's what we're going to be looking for in the future, especially with the temperature that we have right now. So there's also a blue dot bouncing around the screen on there. What that's doing for you is it's kind of a guide for when you get your video back, because you will get the full video back from this guy. The blue dot is showing you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So I look for 15 plus degree temperature drops when we're going through this camera for my spot checks. So it's 80 degrees out here for us, ambient. So I'm going to be looking for 65 degrees and colder out of that blue dot. It might not necessarily be a blue or black shape, but again, that blue dot still might indicate that something else is going on. So again, as great as the hardware is, I said the software sucks. If we record for too long, we will. So what's going to happen is I'm going to cover the history, and then we're going to spread out a little bit. I'll do one full round robin to see what's going on with your devices, and then I will see if we have a lot going on. We'll stay for one more round robin, because again, I'm going to bounce around with everybody, with each group and each person to see what's going on with their device. And then if not, I'll regroup us back here and kind of go over all of the answers of the because again, I have to give you questions at this location simply because you haven't done this before, and you guys are going to get the better gist of this as we move along. So stage one, welcome to your first space. We're in a parking lot. Congratulations. Scott's like, I don't give a shit that we're in a parking lot. We've been here before. But anyway, this place used to be something relevant to the history of Charleston, which is exactly why we're here. So this place used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. So their mansion actually sat in the front of this space, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So that's the layout of the land. So who the hell were these people? All you communication device people, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color was George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. You're going to get the answers from your spirit boxes, and I'm going to start withholding information starting now. So with that,
My bad, I do that a lot.
like it's okay. So I'm just like,
Lynn,
close.
come
Am I
over
not
here.
talking loud enough? It's okay. I was actually just messing around with it because my daughter does the same thing.
Too, I don't know why.
So
I'll turn it up after.
who the heck were Charles and Eliza Pinckney? They had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Chucks. That's exactly why we look for those secondary clues. In the event that Jeff hears the name Charles, I need to know which one it is, if that makes sense. That's why I look for the secondary clue. So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us, but I hate politics more than everybody here. We're going to move on. If I don't bring that up, it normally comes up in a spirit box very negatively. So it's kind of like they want their recognition. I give it to them, and we move on. We're going to talk about Eliza instead, which has a much better history. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. If you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, don't expect numbers like 12 and 14 from the colonial days that she came from. Think of today's standards. The reason why is because her husband was over double her age when they got married. So anyway, she married him because her father was over in England, and he thought he was dying. So he's trying to bring all of his children home one last time. Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put and got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card. We're not a country yet. She did marry him out of love, and this is a true love story. Do not poke the bear here. You will piss her off, and all activity will stop. So Addie, let me know as soon as you get numbers, because as soon as you do is normally when we're going to get started. But anyway, back to Eliza. She was right. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to where we're standing right now. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seeds of indigo. Some of you have been here for more than a day that I know of. Well, again, definitely that I know of. And you guys live here. So indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. That's what we use it for today, and there's not one example in the entire group. Interesting. Wow. 2023, right? Nobody wears jeans anymore. And I'm wearing canvas, so imagine that. But anyway, when she got her seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. Okay, now we go. Now you don't want to give me anything below that 4.9. So it's going to keep escalating up so I don't have a whole notebook full of numbers. So She had to learn from her servants and slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here, believe it or not. So when she learned how to do that, she had to learn how to make the dye. She moved it to a cash crop plantation by the Stono River, got a hold of her dad and said, our rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with this indigo. And we now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So that's the boring business stuff of Eliza that usually bores the hell out of kids all the time. So we're going to move on to the crazy weird shit, because that's why you guys are here. So what's going to happen is, with all the communication devices, I'm going to give you guys like a series of questions to focus on. We're going to stay clear. What I'm going to ask of everybody, please do not ask about the children. We are too close to a tragic date where we will make the Pinckney family angry. Do not. All activity will stop, including the little readings like the 4.9 that we just had. So stay away from the kids. So I'm actually going to give Jeff and Arian the same set of questions. You guys are going to go after Eliza's death. So believe it or not, she's pretty open about talking about it. So 4 major questions that we commonly get the answers to. How old were you when you died? What did you die from? Where are you buried? And what president was a pallbearer at your funeral? So again, very specific questions. They're not yes or no questions. Hunter, you're going to be looking for Eliza's maiden name. So that's the name she had before she got married. So on your word list, we need to deal with which Eliza we're dealing with, because there were 2 different wives named Eliza, believe it or not, back to back. First wife was also named...
Sorry.
What did it say?
It said cocaine. Sorry.
The first wife, her name was Eliza as well, but she had a maiden name that started with the letter L too. So you got to figure out which Eliza we're dealing with. Of course, you're going to be listening in on that as well. So again, it may show up either way. And with yours. So Landon, the mansion's not here anymore. Your device usually only gives us 1 to 2 syllables at a time. Yeah. You can ask what happened to the mansion, and then when did that happen. So normally if we get the what, which is some kind of tragedy, then we're going to get the date. We normally get 2 or 3 numbers out of the date for that. So those of you...
I don't mean to interrupt you, so it was at 21.
Nice.
It was up to like an 8.5 and then it shot up.
4.9, 8.5, and a 21?
Yeah.
So let me explain what these readings are before we actually spread out a little bit. So she's getting pretty decent readings, just so you guys know. That's electricity in the air. If you were to take that device and put it behind your TV set, it's going to read about 40 to 60. She just had a 21. That's half the amount that your TV puts out. We're in a space where there's no electricity, so kind of put that in perspective. Your microwave, if it's heating up your food, is going to be about 150 to 170 milligauss on that device. So the highest I've ever seen it go has been in this location in my 11 years of doing this. 214 milligauss.
Oh, wow.
We left. I will tell you, I'm a guy with epilepsy. That's too much electricity in the air for the guy with the neurological disorder. So again, I'm the one that caught it, and we got the hell out of here very quickly. So again, it wasn't that it was not going to be productive. I didn't want to have any fear for me when I had a full group, if you guys are getting my point. So we're already, the average spike for this location is between 18 to 22. So you've already hit it right in the middle of that. So your new baseline is just going to be 20. You're going to tell me anything above that 20. Just don't expect those kind of numbers out of every single type of space. Because again, I'm going to give you a new baseline for every new location to go based on where we are. So kind of keep that in perspective. I am excited about your 21 and the fact that you've seen it drop all the way back down to 0, at least close to it. Because again, if it was something electrical, it would show up in a pulse. So it would be like a 21, 18, 21, 18, then maybe drop down a little bit further, not 21 to nothing. So again, kind of get that in perspective of the way that actually works. So somebody just came by you and said hello, that's all that means. So she's just trying to look too close. Probably not close enough, maybe go any higher. But Landon, you got your questions, right? So what happened to the mansion? When did that happen? Anybody with a communication device, do not get frustrated if you're not getting direct answers to your questions. And you can ask them out loud or just stay focused on them and just however you're comfortable. But keep in mind, this is why I like to use so many different communication devices. Jeff, you can ask questions. It might show up on Hunter's word list. We never know where the answer is going to go. I always use a minimum of 2 types of communication devices just to make sure like we have something to back up the other pieces. So we're not going to go near the 2 vehicles that are in here. Again, we're very fortunate to have most of the lot on a Friday or Saturday. This whole thing is pretty much filled and we're stuck with the middle. And that's normally why I keep these groups down to 10, is because we do run into spaces like this. But yeah, let's spread around and kind of see what we got going on. I'm going to take a quick peek at the weather just to make sure we're still going to be clear. And then I'm going to start bouncing around with all of you. Has anybody heard anything yet, by the way?
I mean, mine's kind of like,
Maybe you can hear it.
Summer
Too, it's like almost like a radio.
Yeah.
Break
So,
it.
so what did the DJ say? What did the song lyrics saying? Like those are the things you need to
Slayer
tell
and
me.
likelihood
So
of
again, it's not always looking
cocaine
for what's in
clinical
the white
console
noise.
reporting
It's a
in
matter
summer.
of if the DJ said we have clear weather. I want to know that he said we have clear weather.
We're gonna have to ask it some
And it's not
questions
for
in a little
informational
bit here out in
purposes.
the.
Does clear weather have anything to do with
Once he
where
tells
we're
us to go in the parking lot.
Yeah, like my name sounded like, you know how it's
Can I
clicking
ask
back and
this
forth and you
question?
hear the DJs in between?
Yeah.
It sounded like a DJ straight up said my, like a female DJ was like, ARIAN. And I was like,
So weird.
Okay.
That's, and
Not
that could be like the
surprising.
ending of a word though.
right.
Yeah.
So and that's
Librarian. Whatever.
right,
yeah.
exactly. So that's why I'm like, it's probably legit. Like I'm not like doubting it.
I'm not surprised.
It's
it
like,
just-
yep,
I'm
this
not
is what we do.
It just said
With
we
her,
had a lot of
like-
rain.
As I'm sitting here talking about the weather.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it rained the last 2 nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some.
Yeah.
So it's actually been raining. I think I haven't had a tour since Thursday or Friday. I've lost track of how many nights I've been off now because it's just been weird to be at home. But yeah, let's. So Hunter, what are the last 3 words you got on your list?
Summer recording console.
What was the last one again?
Console.
No, summer was the first. Oh, recording console.
Console.
Summer recording console.
You went up to 26.
There was a couple of them that there was 4 of them that had C, like C in a row. Like they started off with C.
It's an interesting observation. Like I don't think I've ever paid attention to that. So Landon, go ahead and get yours unmuted, and then we're gonna spread out for a minute. And you said it was up to a 26. So now your baseline is just gonna be a 25 for the rest of the time that we're gonna be here. Because again, that's usually where we start to get. We don't need to know all the little guys now. We know.
Creepy laughing. Okay, well that was fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's probably just the radio, but it's creepy.
Yeah, radio stuff is good too.
Yes.
What are you?
No.
Are you recording yet? But you guys can spread out a little bit.
Okay,
Go for it.
yeah,
Like we got
go.
the whole space. Just
All right.
stay away from the 2 cars that we got.
What's my last question again?
Scott,
When did that tragedy happen? What happened to it? When did it happen?
you probably should follow me.
Yeah, I mean I just wanted to like sit down and just like film you
What was
guys
her name
really.
again?
Cool.
Oh, the lady, the story. It started with an E. What's her name was Elise? What was Elisa?
Eliza.
Eliza. Okay.
Eliza.
Alright. Eliza. Hello, my name is ARIAN. I just wanted to ask you when you died. Goosebumps so bad.
Oh,
Eliza, can you tell me when you died? Manifest it.
Manifested?
This says manifest. Eliza, can you tell me when you died, Eliza?
Yep.
Eliza, if you can hear me, tell me when you died.
Landon's is actually like if you 2 stick together,
Yeah.
he's gonna miss things on that in real time because he's never done this before. And this way
You want me to
guys-
be filming her or just be close to him?
I mean, you could film anybody.
Yeah.
But I would say an earshot of what he's got going on,
Okay.
so in case he misses something. Because again, this is not an easy job, especially for as sporadic as I have it.
So she likes to answer which ones, when did she die, what else?
So anything about her death, age,
And-
cause,
okay.
where is she buried,
Okay.
and what president was a pallbearer.
I'm gonna ask.
Eliza,
You can ask out loud if you
how
want,
did you die?
but she's already doing that, so maybe you want to go with another question. Just make sure it's not a yes/no question. Because I'll catch it every time, like a bad English teacher.
They both had man.
Think of anything.
So I said, Eliza, how did you die? And he got man on the thing. No? All right, not it.
Got it.
It said what?
Oh, gallery.
See how you have a word.
I'm gonna say every word. Say you word.
No, don't tell me every word. I'll tell you when I hear a word, and you tell me if you see the word.
Okay. So
Eliza, can you tell me how you died?
Eliza, what was your favorite color as a kid? Purple? What was your favorite color again? White? Is that what it says?
I've got an actual word.
What was your favorite color, Eliza? It'll be pretty simple.
It just said Landon.
Hunter, ask a question.
Say Eliza.
Elijah. How old are you when you die?
Maybe she doesn't want to answer that.
Eliza, do you like the summer, spring, or fall?
Okay, probably nothing, but if you got
Eliza, what was your favorite food? Eliza, what was your favorite food?
Keep on asking like things that are like somewhat like food and stuff.
Eliza, what was your favorite flower?
I see.
Let me see your
Eliza, what is the color of milk?
Anything come out of there yet?
I don't think so.
Not easy. And again, Addie hasn't been screaming like other numbers at me, so
How would it say the same thing again?
because that makes what's it saying again?
So, well, it said enough down here, and then it said enough up here.
Eliza, would you like us to stay here?
We just got it, the word enough.
You
On
did?
his word list.
Yeah.
So I was just telling you, like Addie's not telling me there's a whole lot of numbers showing up. You guys aren't getting a whole lot of answers. So, and then he gets the word enough, like she might be done. So that's
Yeah.
that might be done.
Eliza, do you want us to leave you alone? That has to
Eliza, we can leave you alone. You just have to tell us.
That's that.
I'm chill here.
you guys heard anything?
Nothing clear.
Seen anything up there?
I haven't really been paying attention to it.
Pay attention to it. That's your job.
Well, I'm trying to
Yes, Scott.
ask them.
Eliza, do you want us to leave you alone?
No winky face.
Because we can.
Eliza, how old were you?
24.
Eliza, what's your favorite part about Charleston?
Nothing is really clear. They're trying. Why are they trying to say something? It's not coming out as clear.
Yeah. I think you said Eliza.
Arian, Liza, how old were you when you died?
It said if you could pick up numbers from this thing. Oh, what?
It said count. I keep asking, oh my god, I keep asking how old she was when she died. Yeah, tell him.
13.
You're 13?
Did you say 30?
No, that's not.
Did you hear
I did.
13?
That was a 30 or a 13. How old were you, Eliza? Eliza, if you tell us how old you were, we can leave you alone. That's gonna ruin it.
Alright, come on in, guys.
Mute it.
Yeah, go ahead and mute it. Scott, you can show your video. Nope, we're gonna stop right here. List, and Addie, you know that it's a 7 and above. Got it. Alright, so let's talk about why we're here. So Scott, it sounds like you've already been down here before with the whistling doctor story. So I'm just going to tell it differently because you're ghost hunting. You need a little bit more detail. Just remember, we're not going to spread out in this location. I'm going to tell you what goes on down here, and then we're going to exit the same way we came in, only because I've been kicked out of here, and I will tell you why, because that's the fun part of the story. It actually explains exactly why we're going to the next place that we're going to. So every ghost tour tells the same story down here. It's that of this used to be called Dueler's Alley. So this is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So dueling, like take 10 paces, turn and shoot, for those in the room that have seen Hamilton, because it's usually the reference that I can make where everybody understands. Because again, us adults get it, but the kids don't. Sorry. Anyway, with that said, let's talk about this guy that came down here. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He comes down here from Rhode Island. So he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. Her attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's cash flow, so he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So, by the way, those of you...
Is it just Catholic?
I would say, like, don't underestimate, so...
Wow.
Stairs.
Those of you listening to the Spirit Boxes, even as I'm talking, if you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl, it's not coincidence. It's part of his name, and we get it all the time. So just kind of keep that in the back of your brain. It's an easy grab for Brown.
Okay.
But anyway, going back to Dr. Ladd. He comes to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money, and on his way into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start to his stay here in Charleston. Somebody was walking by, seeing what was about to happen, because he lives in town, and he knows the coachman. This guy that's walking by, his name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop there for a second, because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. We were getting RI all the time on these spirit boxes. I actually have a Ouija board device. It's electronic that uses EMF just like Addie's device, and it basically has a cursor that goes over the letters. Any EMF spike stops the cursor and drops the letter to a different row so we can see it as a whole. I bought that specifically for this location. I call it a digital Ouija board, but it's called an Envoy. We have gotten the letters RI as I'm bringing up Ralph Isaacs at least 5 times in the past 6 months. So you kind of have to take that for what it's worth, because R and I are nowhere near each other in the alphabet. So kind of put that in perspective. Anyway, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me to 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from some friends of mine. You'll be safe and good to go. Doctor took him up on the offer, but they became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money. She gets wind of this. She's coming down so they can get married, and now Dr. Ladd became known as the whistling doctor. Men whistled when they were happy in the 1780s. I don't have another explanation for that. I will also tell you that every ghost that comes down here will tell you to listen for the damn whistles while you're in the alley. We have 3 video cameras running right now. Well, 2 and my voice recorder. If we're going to get those audible whistles, they're going to show up on the electronic devices. You don't have to do it on your own. Anyway, back to Dr. Ladd. Ralph and Dr. Ladd go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's just the way the hierarchy works here in Charleston. So, they go see Richard III one night, and they're walking home, and they're arguing over the new actress that was in the play. The doctor thought she was great, Ralph didn't. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It gets really ugly, and they went their separate ways. Now, I told you Ralph has friends around town. He goes to the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of he's a disgrace to society kind of mentality. The doctor saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's go to Dooller's Alley. We're going to settle this. Somebody's going to die. So they came down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up. However, Ralph has his one bullet. Anybody want to guess where he put it?
And the doctor.
In the doctor, but where? In the
Leg.
kneecap.
What?
Oh, he
Put it in
tapped
his
him.
kneecap. So, Dr. Ladd doesn't die. Ralph just proved that he's still pissed off. Doctor fell to the ground, but his friends picked him up. They took him home to 59 Church Street. He dies 10 days later on November 2nd of 1786. So, here's why he died. He also refused medical treatment. He's a doctor. It's 1786. Gunshot wounds were a lot different than they are now. He probably just tried to bleed it out himself because he probably just thought he had lead poisoning. So, every tour tells you to listen for the whistles. Again, we may get something audible from the cameras or my voice recorder, but we have gotten the word whistle showing up on these spirit boxes. We've gotten whistles from songs or commercials, and then the word doctor right after it. We have gotten all kinds of things. The number 59 for the address, the name Amanda, Joseph, Brown. You get all of the clues that show up around this particular kind of story. But again, there are also claims of gunshots. I don't have anything of gunshots other than the word gun or shot showing up on a spirit box or word list somewhere. I don't have anything. We have witness. I like that
when
one.
you were talking about like the guns and the doctor and stuff, like about like where you got shot and stuff, it said witness.
Well, there were lots of witnesses because it was a duel and there were people there. You actually had to watch it. So again, I do like the word witness. It is vague, but it is there. But anyway, here's how I got booted out of here. Here's the fun part of the story. This is where things get really interesting for you guys and understand how I actually piece some of these things together. This alley wasn't always Duller's Alley. There was a wall about halfway between us and Cumberland Street to where we came in at. The reason why is because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. So this was before it was Duller's Alley. This used to be called Cow Alley. The word cow shows up all the time too, especially on Hunter's word list. Now, what does that mean for you guys? On the other side of this alley, those bricks on the other side by Queen are older than the ones we're standing on. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child at the end of this alley because they're older than the ones we're on now. So there's also fingerprint swipes and others. I used to take my groups all the way through this alley when I first started doing this, and I pieced this together. However, I know that that kid's not at that brick. Everybody wants to try to get something out of the equipment, and I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That's the last place you're going to find that kid. He's not staring at the brick that he had to slave over, literally, with his handprints in it. November 26th of 2020, my entire group is huddled around that one brick waiting for something to happen. I'm trying to shoo them along because nothing's going to happen. Secondly, it's outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I'm trying to be respectful. I didn't realize I was out of bounds. So, the new owner of that mansion came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because her dad's getting screamed at, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't work Thanksgiving. The reason why? I worked in retail management, upper management for Walmart for a good part of 20 years. I'm never working Thanksgiving another day in my life, thanks to you guys that go shopping on Black Friday. You're welcome. So, the next day, I moved on. The next day is November 28th. I got a hold of my partner that I had, and I told him what happened. He's laughing at me too. He's like, dude, you're only allowed to go down halfway, or you got to reroute the group. So I decided I'm going to reroute and just avoid the whole situation. What I told my group was, I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. Obviously, we're discussing pirates next. So I was like, I've never had anything happen there. What you got?
You got a number 3.
You guys said the number 3 earlier
Yeah.
too. Interesting. See, you finally got a number. Told you you'd get one.
I've been wanting one for a long time.
So before we left, somebody on a spirit box hears the name Anne. I didn't tell them who we were going to be investigating. The famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So I was kind of like, oh shit, maybe we're going to get something. We go up and around the corner. I told the little bit I did know about piracy in Charleston around there, and that was it. There wasn't much.
Yeah.
But somebody else hears the number 300 coming out of their spirit box. I don't know what it means. I write it down. I do the research for them the next day. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. Now you guys, I see a lot of eye drops, and you're all like, oh shit, that's cool. No, I was pissed off. Let me tell you why. First off, I already told you, there's a reason why I'm not a pirate person. At least, I wasn't. Pirate stories come from pirate lore. There's not a whole lot of factual data going on there.
Catch
And you don't want to listen to that thing at all,
Or do you want me to
do
hold
you?
it if you're not going to do it?
You just haven't
I
even,
will
like,
if you give me the chance. Wait.
So,
You want to listen to this?
It has to have a person in it, honey.
no, I was just trying to, like, I just noticed like she was always distant from it. I'm like, maybe she just doesn't want to.
Yeah.
These two trying to figure out the dance. Love it. So we're here because of the Powder magazine, just so you guys know. So we're going to cover the history, like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion. We'll cover this whole pirate story, and then we're going to spread out like what we did over there. Just keep in mind that the tours pass through here. With those of you with cameras, this wall is not your friend. Tons and tons of leaves on it. So every leaf is in front of another one. That's where you get that gobbledygook, that ball of purple lines. So that's kind of, we have gotten people here. We had 30 over here, right? 30, 40. I don't know. I'm gonna dive into
I've never. I don't know why I'm getting so much.
We have gotten
numbers.
somebody
Hearts
sitting
can
on
be
that garbage can.
broken. Did you hear that
So
song?
Oh wow.
Just a person on that.
I know that.
Like
song.
over here. Like a person's
So,
stance.
but
Look, I got my
it
favorite
will pick
angle.
up the angles of the Powder magazine
Birds.
itself. So
Yeah,
a
'cause
ghost
it was,
is
like,
not
right
going to be
here.
25 foot tall
No.
as high as the. It's going to be, you know, obviously in relative
listen
height.
with me.
When I say there was a person over there, I've debunked a lot of them, but there have been 2 occasions where we actually had somebody sitting over there, like swinging their leg, and it looks like, I mean, it's the perfect arch of somebody sitting there.
America. Did you hear that? You're not
Scott's like,
listening.
I don't hear any of this
He's
crap.
not. He's not.
I'm trying to listen to him too.
Does birds mean anything? 'Cause I've got it.
I don't think there's a reference for that here. So the Powder magazine, every tour stops here. We're going to be looking at it, but just in a much different light. By the way, those are not crosses on the building. Those are earthquake bolts. Earthquake bolts are basically turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, you can tighten those earthquake bolts and it tightens up the building so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The only reason I bring them up is because that's part of the reason why we're here. Those earthquake bolts were the first ones that Charleston ever put in. You guys have seen them all over town, by the way, in the shape of pineapples and lion heads and all kinds of Charleston charm bullshit. But those are the first set they put in because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. So this building is what I call a familiar. The reason why we're here...
Did say I'm dead?
I just heard he's dead right at the same
We
time
just
that you
said-
guys
we
said that.
dead.
Maybe we went through the same
We need to
channel.
find out who the hell's talking to y'all. Like, we need some names, damn it. But this is not a prominent English woman either here, by the way. So we don't have to tiptoe around like what we did with Eliza. Like, when we're, you know, I'm done giving you the history, poke that bear a little bit. This is a kick-ass pirate chick. So, you know, kick her in the shin.
Did it
She'll
just
give her
say
some answers.
pirate? I thought it
Gaze.
did.
Dude, what does gaze mean?
To stare intently.
Oh.
So, sorry, Webster over here. English major, can't help it.
knows
But
about
anyway,
what?
that building, it was being constructed at the same time
he
that Anne
knows
Bonny
about
was
something.
coming here, so it would be something familiar. It seems like all of you guys watch the TV shows, right? So you guys have seen them use that Boo Buddy, that's the teddy bear.
Each
with
of you is important.
the K2 meter is usually built into it. So they use that because the child would actually recognize that as a toy. We're here in the exact same fashion. This is something Anne Bonny would recognize because there's not many
Show 'em
buildings
after
from
a
that
few
era
words,
still
honey.
here in Charleston,
I don't know
believe it or
her.
not. So here's how
Show 'em
this
when he's
goes.
done talking.
This building took 10 years to build. For us adults, does that sound like our government, 10 years, small building? No,
Yep.
not at all. But anyway, our history begins right in the middle of that construction. 1708, follow me, there's a lot of twists in this story. I will slow down on the twists so you guys grab them. 1708, a young lady by the name of Anne Cormack comes here from Ireland. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, the three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How mad was the wife that she basically kicked her husband and his mistress and child, illegitimate by the way, out of the country to come here? There's no airplanes, it's by boat.
It just said the kid.
So,
Yeah.
they land in Georgetown. Dad bought a plantation, mom dies pretty quickly. That means dad is now sending young Ann, oh that grease feels good. Dad is sending young Ann down here to sell anything from that plantation to help keep things
Did you hear
afloat.
that?
So,
Did you hear that?
is that what it said?
No, so we're gonna have to do something about it.
I just got like 4 words.
You're not listening at all.
Like 40
Oh.
seconds ago, I got 4 words in like 2
Okay,
seconds.
that's okay. I'll take it out until you're
And
ready.
do you know what Kyra means? Like, what does that mean?
It's a name.
Oh.
So this story can be really long. So I'm gonna try to breeze through it,
Hold on.
okay?
Okay, wait. Let him
Yeah,
finish, and then
Hunter.
you can show him all the words.
So I'm gonna take a look at all of them because we're gonna spread out in here. So we're going to take a step back to Ireland for just a second when Anne was just a child. They say she was a badass even back then. At the age of 7, 8, 9 years old, remember it's pirate lore, nothing is exact, they say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly.
Wow.
I can't tell you how many times I've gotten servant, knife, and belly out of 3 different people where the other 2 people didn't know what was going on. Again, we get it all the time. Anyway, fast forward, the building's done in 1713. By 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown. Anne is stoked. Why? She's going to fall in love so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. So, first guy she falls in love with, yes, I said first because there's a handful. That's what makes the story so damn interesting. We're going to cover them all. First guy is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going, right? We've already mentioned her pirate name. Dad didn't approve because he's a pirate. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married, and Cormac became Anne Bonny. However, when she gets down there, she realizes Bonny, her new husband, is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. So, a few more years go by, she falls in love again. Guy number 2. This is John Rackham. Everybody calls him Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of, in case you were wondering who this guy actually was. Now, Calico
It
Jack...
just said you don't understand what it means.
I do know what it means.
I know, that's why we were like,
But his name has specific meaning, which I don't explain until the end. So,
Oh.
Until before we leave. So you all don't know what his name means yet.
Okay.
And you don't know why they call him Jack when his real name is John. But I explained that before we leave the space. So it's very interesting that you heard that.
Yeah.
Calico Jack has his own ship. He has his own crew. Anne wants to be part of the crew. But you can't put a girl on a pirate ship because it's bad luck. Normally I would throw that question back to you, but we got kids in the audience tonight, and we don't need those raunchy answers coming back to me. So, anyway, he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like the crew, you can be part of the crew. But you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. It's a man's world. So, let's put 2 and 2 together. She's a female in his quarters, adults in the room. So, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So he drops her off in Cuba. Yeah, I know. She goes to Cuba, where he drops her off. Says, go have the baby come over here, and these are friends of mine. They'll help you out. Come back later, and we'll figure it out. She goes and has that baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to that child. No amount of my research, even all the damn pirate books I've had to read, has ever revealed that answer. What's interesting for you is that she comes back dressed as a female. This makes Jack pretty pissed off, because now everybody's going to know he let a girl on the ship. What she's going to do to make him even more pissed off is she's going to go flirting with the pirate crew that he just captured. They're down below deck. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy, to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. Now we have 2 females, dressed like males, on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Now, her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure, but the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships after them to take down one measly pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight. And they only had 1 bullet flintlocks because they don't know how to use cannons yet. Obviously, 2 ladies with 1 bullet guns are not going to take on. Are not going to take on a whole fleet of Navy ships. They get arrested. As they're being arrested, she looks at her bow and captain, Calico Jack, and she says, I'm sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog. The word dog shows up on your spirit boxes a lot. Now, the judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. They're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front, reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. The judge doesn't give a shit that they're female. They're still pirates, so he's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies was the last thing they shouted because they're trying to save themselves. They're claiming to be pregnant, and you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. So he bails her out, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count Mary Reed. We don't really know. So she has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Very abrupt ending because we don't know. I know Scott's like, what the hell? How the hell do you memorize all that shit, right?
It just said
Well,
talk
that's
about it.
that's
like,
old.
how did they live that old back
Yeah,
then?
84.
really
Older
old.
is. And think about I want you to also remember the date. So Eliza Pinckney, 1793, died at the age of 70. I've already mentioned how old she was. Anne Bonny dies in 1782. So that's 11 years prior, and she was how many years older? So that kind of makes, it is a very old age. So again, to your point, I wasn't sure if you were shaking because I recited it off so damn quick, or if it was like, holy shit, what the age
it's
was.
both.
I wanted to say too, it was funny when you said like you can't hang a pregnant woman. Didn't it say it was like, yeah, sure?
When you were talking about the dad, I think it was like a dad bails the woman out. It said relation the second after.
We do get a lot of female gender terms here, just so you know.
Talk much
but I didn't tell you what happened to Mary Reed. The story's not over. 5 months later, she dies in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. Most books will tell you something simple like fever. Use your imagination and make it romantic like scurvy. Why the hell not? So I'm not going to assign questions here. I'm going to give you a small handful of things I left out on purpose just so you have something to work with. Everything else is fair game. I left out the names of her parents on purpose. That's the father and the mistress. I also left out the city where Anne grew up in Ireland. That's a one-syllable answer. I'll give you that kind of clue.
You said 33 again.
You guys in your damn threes. What's going on over there?
I don't know.
You guys brought somebody with you, because threes don't mean anything to me at all. Like, I'm
It's
going
supposed to
through all
be
the
like a
dates.
holy number or whatever.
It's an angel number, but
Yeah.
we won't get into all that. Like, that's we're not doing angels, we're doing pirates. The color of Anne Bonny's hair, that's an easy one. That's red. If you aren't getting answers, just kind of poke the bear and get a one-syllable answer for the color red. But I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship on purpose. So see what you guys get. Everything else is fair game. You want to ask what happened to the baby? I just can't prove it. We're just looking for direct answers that would actually make sense, and it would be a little bit more direct. So again, kind of take that for what it's worth. EMF, Addie, we don't get a whole lot of EMF in this location. If we do, it's on this back half. The front half has electrical poles in the corners and parking meters on the other side. So again, it sounds like you're going to probably want to be taking something, from Hannah, so that way you can listen in for a little bit. I don't know how you guys are going to work that out, but I know you want to listen in and kind of see what's going on there. You're definitely going to be unmuted in this location.
Or do you want to use this for a bit?
772. Is that anything?
Yes.
That was
There's
very clear.
There's the other part of the
What was
doctor's
it?
birthday.
772.
I'll actually take
I just
that.
literally heard 772.
So she just got the numbers 772. I told you I was waiting for the other part of Dr. Ladd's birthday. His birthday is July 7th, 7-7. We get it doubles all the time. I wait for those doubles, and I love when they come together. I know you guys had a singular 7, but again, the double 7s together kind of confirms, like, we have, the 2, throw it away. I need the 7-7, because it happens all the time. 7s are relevant here in one of 3 ways. I have to wait for the secondary clue to see what it belongs to. The double 7s is obviously the doctor. The other 7, John Calhoun, your 7th vice president, is buried on the other side of this wall. We don't hear from him until the month of March, because he was born in March and died in March. And the Gunpowder magazine served 7 different wars, so I wait for one of the wars to come up to kind of verify what that 7 means. So again, the fact that you heard 772 together, I'm excited about that. I'm going to be writing that one down, because that's an easy one. So this is me excited, everybody. You guys see the difference between me and Zach? Like, again, I hate to keep referencing Zach Fagan. What do you got?
You ever go in there?
That's an apartment building.
Oh, that's an apartment building now?
Yeah, we're talking about that little building up there.
Oh, those. Oh,
Yeah, people live there.
Lunch.
that's pretty scary.
Yep, people live in there.
Find me?
Right, look at the
You
bottom.
need to
It
listen
has
to this
bars.
with me. I need
Well,
help.
that part is actually belongs
I feel like if you even let him listen, he's just gonna.
He's just not going to pay attention.
Are we gonna go in
If he's done with
No, we're not going in. We're not going anywhere. Have I ever been in there? I've been in the Powder magazine. It's a museum though.
Oh, it's a museum?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they just show off all the uniforms and how the gunpowder was held, and it shows you all the different wars that it served in. Nope, that is a cemetery on the other side of this wall.
Did it just say 666?
Wow.
Oh, nah.
Like, very, clear.
I'll take the 772.
Yeah, seriously.
666. What's this?
But yeah, definitely get yours unmuted, Landon. Like we're on full investigation mode.
We're listening for like names, numbers, colors.
772. That was weird.
What'd you hear?
I couldn't make it out. He was walking away. But
What'd
it
you
just
hear,
sounded like-
Landon?
Did you get anything out of that? That girl's high voice?
Just getting like Oreos.
Yeah, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
What's the last couple of... Yeah,
Believing in churches.
Hunter, I want to see your word list.
Alright.
Let's see what you got. I have my glasses on, man. Hang on.
Walk.
Oh, nice.
What?
The word coat.
Is it Coke?
Coat.
Oh, I thought it was like cocaine and Coke.
Nope, coat is definitely relevant here.
Really? It's definitely relevant here.
I was gonna talk about it, but
Yeah, definitely
and
relevant.
also it said talk much while you were talking.
Yeah, because I speed through this one because it's long, especially when I get kids here, because they get bored with it. I see the shuffling of feet, and I'm like, oh shit, I better speed it up.
Where'd he go?
They'll deal with it though. They're good kids.
Yeah, I just don't want them to be bored. I want the electronics in their hands. You know what I mean? I want to get them to work.
Yeah.
The history's for you guys.
Well, you gave a good one to Hunter because he gets excited with every word.
Calico Jack was called that because of the jackets that he wore. coat.
Oh, coat. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a good one.
So Calico Jack basically means fancy jacket. That's where the name came from. He used to steal them. I reveal that at the end before we leave the space, but that's where the name came from. Some will claim that
Andrew's gonna love
it's
that.
because it came from the pants that he wore, but that just doesn't make any sense because every depiction of Calico Jack is always of a very fancy silk jacket from a British captain of some sort.
That church over there looks so cool.
Yeah. And we have a full moon tonight, so if you can get a picture, like, it's probably right next to it. I don't know if you guys can see it from over here.
If we go over,
I want to switch to Atlanta.
You what?
I want to switch to Atlanta.
Hey, Landon.
You want
Do
to
you want to
switch
trade
with
for
me?
a minute and hold that?
This
Hold
is
it on this
mute
side.
version. Yeah, you just hold it on this side of the thing. Like we're
Just keep a
like,
person.
What were
Just
the
keep a
people
person in it so that you can see the temperature.
I was okay.
Yeah, but we're listening for other names. You need the name of the dad.
What is your father's name?
oh, that's what's been going on. But what has been going on?
The hoe? Oh. Okay.
You have to record that with people.
Mary? Anne. That's blasphemous. It's Mary. Mary Ann.
Mary Ann.
Ooh.
That's a nice name. Oh.
If I lose me. $18.07. Very clear. $18.07. Do you want to listen?
No. Hang on. And hold on. Just to verify.
Letting you focus on you. Literally when you pulled out your phone. What do you have, Hunter?
Nothing. I've been on the same word.
Some of those things I usually throw away because you're listening to Charleston radio.
I've been on the same word for
but
five.
$7.50.
I've been on the same word for 5 minutes.
What is it?
Corn.
Corn?
Yes. I've had enough with corn.
Over the fence?
I mean, like, we live in, like, she lives in, like cornfield. I don't know if that means anything.
Well, what ghost did you bring with you that would do that?
I don't know. Merchant.
Corn merchant.
I don't know.
Now you know what you're going to be when you grow up. Remember I asked you yesterday what you're going to school for and you couldn't tell me? You're like, oh, I'm a sophomore.
I heard the number 3.
Now you're going to be a corn farmer the rest of your life, Addie. Good job.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
You're just fun to give a hard time to.
I can tell. She makes it easy. As an older sister, I kind of have an obligation to do it,
Yeah.
so.
If my daughter London was here, like she would be teaming up with you guys
London.
all night long. Just to,
Oh, yeah.
it's normally what she does. She clings to somebody.
No cold black spots?
Mm-mm.
You want to walk around a little bit?
Who's got the Scott's got the other one now? Scott, have you heard
It just
anything?
said there's no further details. I don't know if
Oh,
that,
damn.
You heard
that
something
means
that's probably important. I don't know what it is. I forgot, but he's gonna tell you.
Scott, what'd you hear?
Corn merchant was held.
I think I was asking Dan, like, what is your father's name? So I'm trying to tell you. There's a guy. It was when I was over.
And give us your father's name, and then we'll go ahead and end this.
Chris?
No.
Okay. Right when you said I heard Chris.
Wow.
And what is your father's name?
Come on, Ann. It's not like you haven't given it to us before.
Is this your last spot?
Nope, we got one more to go.
Okay.
Can we do anything for you?
For the word heart again.
You have to stay
Oh.
with heart and three.
Attach.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I might get another word. It's going a little high. I'm gonna get
Attach.
Yeah, no. I might get another new word. I don't know.
And give us either one of your parents' names, whichever one's easier for you to say.
That's a word's good. Wait. Corn merchant with tail attached good.
I feel like it's actually trying. I thought I heard a mic.
Not yet, was it?
Nope. The interesting thing is, it's probably showing up with them.
What's up?
It's probably showing up with them. Like, I'm asking over here listening and watching the word list, and it's probably coming up on their spirit box.
Wait, do you want me to go over there while you ask questions?
You're a pirate?
You're something.
Dang. Sure, man.
I didn't catch the pirate part. 'cause
I'm
I
not
heard it.
100% sure.
Yeah,
on the
but it'll be
pirate
on your
thing.
audio.
Oh, it's gonna be on the audio.
Yeah, 'cause you're right there.
Anna, you got anything?
I just heard a doctor and I'm dead.
Yeah, no shit, Dr. Ladd. We knew that. That's why we're here.
Are you dead, Dr. Ladd?
Weasel.
That's the name of one of our stations.
I've heard weasel twice. I didn't think it was anything. It was
Yeah,
just
it's the
so
name of
loud.
one of our radio stations, the Weasel.
Oh, okay. I was
So
like,
is the
I keep
Bridge.
hearing it. Okay.
Yeah, people are like, I just heard Weasel and then Bridge. I'm like, that's two of our radio stations. Congratulations.
At least you know they're paying attention.
Yeah. I don't get a whole lot of people that don't pay attention, like with this kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were about to
That's
say.
where the gunpowder was, right?
Yep.
And
I was just whispering, what was your father's name? And the song came on and said, girl, take your time.
Oh, that just said, hey, Scott. I'm 100% sure it just said
I
that.
heard hey something with the S sound on it. I missed it because we were chatting.
99% sure.
Again, it'll be on the audio.
Hi.
So who'd you bring with you?
Well, he's Scott.
Like the
I
same
heard
voice,
that.
wasn't
I heard that through this. Like, not in here, but like.
What can I do for you?
Give me money.
My name's Scott. What's your name?
Peter? Did you hear Peter?
Dude, that's
Peter. I got Peter in here.
What's Calico Jack's real name?
I'm going to follow up with them, and then I'm probably going to rein us over to that wall. So I'm going to give you guys a few more minutes to listen.
I mean, I'm just kind of like picking up everybody else.
Alright, so any readings whatsoever coming out of there?
Not
Okay.
really. It hasn't gone over one.
Alright guys, we're going to rein it in. Just hit it up this way.
Dr. Morrison doesn't mean anything, does it?
No, but you did have the word doctor.
He,
Right.
he wants us to know.
Yeah, you guys had a lot of doctor items show up here, more so than anything relative to pirates.
And who was your doctor?
You didn't have no damn doctor. So, by the way, when I give that heated warning at the top of the night, if you want, those of you with cameras, if you want to stop them, if you want breaks, you can. But that heated warning,
what's going on?
then I'll mute.
I didn't.